Spoilers for all of Bojack Horseman. Go watch it. The animated series Bojack Horseman ran on Netflix for 6 seasons between 2014 and 2020. During that time, audiences fell in love with the show's pitch-perfect blend of humor and gut-wrenching storylines that seem all too real. For 6 seasons, people watched as Bojack Horseman, Princess Carolyn, Todd, Diane, and Mr. Peanut Butter attempted to achieve that which we all ultimately seek: fulfillment. That could mean having a family. For others, it's a meaningful relationship. Maybe it's professional or creative success. But when it comes to Bojack, it has always been clear what he really wants. What he has wanted since the beginning of the series. He wants to believe he's a good person. And for the show's entire run, we watched him struggle to believe this, to convince himself otherwise, to try to be better and give up many, many times, to try not to care, to remember how to care. It literally pushed him to the brink of death. But then, miraculously, he didn't die. And the show ended. Now what? Every show has a beginning. Some shows have middles. The lucky ones get endings. Bojack was one of the few examples of a show that wasn't canceled prematurely due to low viewership, nor stretched past its prime to capitalize on its success. 6 seasons was exactly what the writers needed to tell the story they wanted to tell. It was the perfect amount of time to develop Bojack and the whole cast as not just characters, but people. We saw 6 years of Bojack's life, not to mention the flashbacks to the 50 years that came before it. But what about what comes after? What about the beginning after the ending? I remember when I was getting close to the very end of the show. Seriously, like one episode left close, and I found myself asking, how is this going to end? They definitely aren't going to just give us a happy ending. There's no way. My experience watching the show taught me something that we all probably eventually learn from real life. Happiness of any kind is fleeting. Every up is followed by another down. And again, this is essentially just a snapshot of Bojack's life. Assuming he doesn't end his own life or overdose or drive his Tesla off a bridge, he's going to live for decades after this. There's no way the show could convince us he's going to be just fine. And then the show gave me this.
It's a nice night, huh?
Yeah. This is nice.
Mr. Blue, I told you that I love you, please believe me.
Turns out the writers were too smart to even try to give Bojack such a concrete send-off. They neither killed Bojack off, nor gave him some kind of rushed, happy resolution with all the characters, and a promise that he's going to get better. They did give him a resolution, but I think we've been conditioned by the media we consume to believe that all stories end in either happy resolution or sad resolution. You know, to oversimplify, either they all lived happily ever after or they all died. But how often does that happen in real life? Where's all the stories that end in real life resolution? This kind of ending is rare, I'm guessing because it doesn't feel final enough. Wouldn't that kind of ending actually be the perfect one to illustrate that Bojack Horseman's story has not truly ended just because Bojack Horseman the show has? In truth, this isn't really an ending for Bojack or any of the other characters. It's a new chapter. But it is a chapter we won't get the privilege of reading. We all know that feeling. When you're watching a movie or a show and you know the ending's coming up, you're hoping that the camera's going to cut to a new scene, that there'll be more. Then you feel like you're really watching the last scene, and you're just waiting for the screen to cut to black and the credits to start. God, that has never hit harder for me than when I was watching the finale of this show. I really, truly did not want this show to end. I was dreading it. It wasn't just because the show was great, it was, and if the show had 10 seasons, I would have eagerly watched more. But running out of good content to consume alone doesn't hit like this. This was more. The conclusion of a long running series is truly like a kind of death. Obviously, real life loss is incomparable to the ending of a TV show, but I think the feeling hits at the same place in our hearts in a way. It's about endings, about grieving the ending of something we love. We are terrified that something we love is going to go away, leaving us behind to continue on without it. Sure, we will always have the show to go back to, but there's no more. We have what we got, and we have to make peace with that. I've experienced this feeling before, many times, most often with long running book series. After spending years of my life following certain characters and their stories, it's incredibly difficult for me to say goodbye. Every time I finish a story like that, I spend the next few days decompressing. I really don't know how to describe it other than a form of grief. Now I can look back on those pieces of art with fondness and appreciation, but there will always be a tinge of sadness, because I know it's all over. Despite me not growing up watching the show, Bojack Horseman was truly one of the strongest examples of this for me. And it got me asking why. Beyond just the wonderfully written storylines and endearing characters, why was I this invested? Why did I spend the next several weeks internally weeping at even the thought of the song Mr. Blue? I eventually came to a conclusion as to why Bojack Horseman in particular was this hard-hitting. Having to say goodbye and move on with your life is such a central theme to the show, especially as it nears the end. If the show is about one thing, it's about Bojack's relationship with Diane. She is the one from which Bojack is truly seeking validation. He needs to hear her tell him he's a good person to believe it. Their relationship started the show, and it only makes sense that it would mark its end too. And you can grieve someone even if they're still alive. People can walk out of your life while still continuing on with their own. In a way, this kind of parting can be even harder for us to understand and come to terms with. As Bojack sits with Diane on the roof and remarks that they might never see each other again, which Diane calmly confirms, it's hard not to hear that as a message to the viewers themselves. When Diane tells Bojack she doesn't believe in good and bad people, it's hard not to interpret this as the closest thing we're going to get to a concrete conclusion. It's as if the voice of the show is saying, "It's been wonderful. I hope you've gained something from this. It's time to go now." Of course, Bojack seems incredibly sad to hear Diane say goodbye. He loves her, and they've been important in each other's lives. He doesn't want to acknowledge that their relationship has come to an end, but it has. And all they can do is sit next to each other, look at the stars, and silently enjoy each other's company while it lasts. The ending of Bojack Horseman was just like the rest of its run. Hopeful and uplifting, sad and crushing, all at the same time. That's it. The show's over. Curtains fall.
Hush now, don't cry. It's just a lullaby, and I won't leave you till you close your eyes. Hush now, don't cry.
I don't want to pop! That's too much, man!